Welcome back to the workshop. We've got something different in today, as you can see. Before we get into the video, can you check you're subscribed? If you're not, why not? Give me a thumbs up, give me a thumbs down. Like, comment down below. Don't comment down below. Just do something. Help these bloody algorithms. Anyway, enjoy the video. And of course, if you fancy supporting the channel, then there's a PayPal me link thing scrolling down here. If you fancy getting in touch with me, then it's Church House Classics. It's all one word. At gmail.com. And both of those links you'll find in the description below this video. Down there somewhere. Anyway, enjoy. Right, yes, so it's a 1968 MGB Roadster. I've known this car since I was about 20 years old. An awfully long time, because I'm coming up for 57. Now, a really good mate of mine rebuilt this car back in the late 1980s, early 1990s. And used it for a while, and then sold it on to another mate, a chap I used to work with, a long time ago, and he's used it for a while, but then parked it up about a decade ago. It's been dry parked. Unfortunately, the cover has gone through the paint in a number of locations, which is a rotten shame. But this paint job must be getting on for 35 years old now. So it's probably about due for another paint job. But the idea behind this really is I need to wake this car up. It needs to be woken up. So it needs, I want to do an overall inspection of the body structure. I'm not anticipating anything particularly nasty, but it was restored a very long time ago. So I don't know. It has been dry stored since. I need to change all of the fluids. Every single drop of fluid in this car needs to be changed because it is sat there that long. I need to overhaul the brakes all round, change anything that is related to the braking system. If the rigid lines are okay, we can reuse them, but all the flexes, all of the slave cylinders, the calipers, the master will need to be changed. Shoes and so forth will need to be changed. Where are we? Next page. I need to sort the fuel supply. Apparently it did have a new fuel pump fitted. I don't know much more than that. I don't even know how much fuel is in the tank. It could be varnished by now. I need to check the carburetors are working. In fact, what we could do is we could get the bonnet up and see what's going on. I mean, even though this car was restored 1,000 years ago, just everything on it. Oh. It is nice. There's a few dings here and there, and I know my mate is going to be annoyed. But many cars that were restored 35, 40 years ago have long since met their fate. So for this car to still be on the, sort of there and needing something doing as a viable project, then all well and good. Now, because the bonnet would normally sit about there, I've put a bit of rope from the roof and I'm going to attach it around the front edge of the bonnet. But I'm not going to do it while you're watching because my rules. There we go, like that. There's bags of room to lift these bonnets right up. I'm nowhere near the bodywork nor the extremities of the hinge. It all lifts up very nicely. And oh, that door's dropped a little bit, but never mind. It's fucking you and doors, Richard. There's something wrong with you. Yes, it's had a mouse nest at some point in it. I think that was more around the air filters. The dashbots, the carburetors, the dashbots are seized. So they're going to go nowhere. So the carbs are going to need to come off and be overhauled. I'll need to replace every single little bit of fuel line. I don't trust any of this. This stuff is all going to be getting on a bit. All of the coolant hoses, all of the fuel line hoses, all of the belts, all need changing. Tank may need to come out. I don't know yet. It's back here somewhere. It's in there somewhere. I don't know. Oh, there's a manual. a big fucking amp in there as well. Look at that. I need to sort the clutch hydraulics out, because one of the things we've noticed is that, yeah, someone's already been here and already started to pull it all apart. I don't know what they've been doing. I don't know where it's been going. It's all going to come apart. And we'll sort the clutch hydraulics out. I don't even know if the clutch is fused to the flywheel. Hopefully we'll be able to shock it free. There were known driving issues when it was laid up, so I'm going to assume gearbox, engine are going to be okay with a sensitive kind of wake up. Fluid changes, ease it back into life. Rear axle prop shaft, again, there's no known issues when it was laid up, so I think fresh lubrication. Hubs, similarly, when I'm messing around with the brakes, I shall assess the hubs and let the customer know what is required, if anything, with the hubs. Obviously, if I'm taking the discs off, then the hubs will get serviced. If I'm taking the drums off, I'll check the hubs at the back. Suspension. I'm going to, so I suggested to the customer that the bushing will have settled, as well as the tyres. So I think what we'll probably end up doing is we will get the thing to an MOT standard and passed, so that the customer can then use it through the summer. I'm reliably informed we're nearly summer. And as and when issues occur, then we can resolve those. Customer actually lives just up the road from my unit, which is convenient, let's say. It's a local car. Established. Oh, sorry, engine. Right. We got no idea about this thing, so what I'm going to do is I am going to crank this thing over by hand. I'm going to get the ignition overhauled. I'm going to check we've got oil pressure. I'm going to check we've got compression. I don't want valves sticking open. Got no idea whether this thing is going to just start up or not. So really I want to safeguard what we've got, because if we do drop a valve, I don't particularly want to find myself in that position. Carburetors I've already covered, but they need to come off and be overhauled, on account of the fact the pistons don't move. Electrics, well, whatever is going to be needed for the MOT. It looks like it's had a fairly recent, when I say fairly recent, 35, nearly 40 years ago, a loom was fitted. I don't think that's the original loom to the car. So I think that it has been refitted at some point. There is a proper 1960s fuse box in there, Lucas Prince of Darkness. It's mainly bullet connectors. It follows the Lucas wiring colour code, so there's nothing particularly scary there. It's just a case of going through each and every single component, making sure it works. The only thing that annoys me about MGBs and other cars of the period, rather than having a electric switch for the brake lights, they have a pressure switch, which is that little bastard down there, which means that if it fails for any reason, you've got to do that and then rebleed the brakes. Single circuit brakes on these as well. MOT, there we are, fresh MOT. And that's pretty much it. So apart from that, not a lot else is required really. So I think really I'm going to start with let's start with the engine and see what is going to be required. So it's going to be a case of let's find out if it turns. Really, it's going to be the best place to start, isn't it? I'll crank it by hand. There are a few things that are broken on here. That's the vacuum pipe there. That's broken. I mean, most of these bits, there's nothing scary on here. There's no way am I going to run fuel through the system until I've replaced all of these fuel lines. I'll need to get it up into the air really to see what's going on with the fuel lines underneath, but I'll couple that with working on the hubs. The hood is not in bad shape. It's a little bit on the sticky side, but these hoods, they're all right. They do the job. I've got it down at the moment because I want to access the batteries, which are under there. And I'm pretty sure that we're going to find... Crikey, there's a relic. You don't see many of those these days, do you? It's the old school crook lock. You remember these ones you used to have to snap in half? Yes, and look, there's a used rocker cover gasket. I'm not sure if Chris is looking to keep that or not. And then underneath here, we've got a battery box. So I'll see what's going on with the batteries. It's obviously been off at some point. There we are, a pair of batteries. It's an anomaly of these things. They put two 6-volt batteries either side of the prop shaft, one either side of the prop shaft. It's kind of how they're set up. Of course, the other consideration I'm going to have, apart from spiders, is the car's been laid up in a barn. We've already found one hulking great mouse nest. So I'll need to just double check for rodent damage around the loom. They've got nasty sharp teeth and they love sharpening them on things like rubber hoses and electrical insulation. Completely dead. Empty too. There's no fluid in them. They are drier than a witch's tit. Forget it. Right. So plugs came out, as you've seen already. A couple of interesting anomalies. First and foremost, I find it amusing that the HT lead is actually resting on the steering shaft. I don't think it should be. Also, the ignition coil is mounted upside down. I'm not sure if this is some sort of satanic thing. Maybe it's an MGB thing, couldn't tell you. A couple of interesting wiring mods. Nothing particularly nasty. It's just going through observing things. I did find what looks like a rusty hole. I don't know whether it is a rusty hole or not. We'll be able to sort that out. I don't know where the box is that goes over the pedals though. There should be a box that goes over this area that keeps, because obviously that's the footwell in there. If you look down there you can see the foot mat. I think there should be a box over that. Little odds and sods, we're going to come across these things. But yeah, HT lead resting on the steering shaft. That would have created an amusing misfire, wouldn't it? Radiator's out. It was empty anyway, so someone either thoughtfully drained the system down or it's all turned to sludge. Now, what's slightly concerning here, let me pick. Where's my pick tool gone? One pick tool. That's not encouraging, is it? That is not encouraging. I'm rather hoping that this lot is all going to wash through, so I really want to get the thermostat out so that I can get a hose and see if we can't hose the cooling system through, because if it's like that all the way through, then it doesn't want to be in there when I start the engine up. Really. Now, I found the timing mark on the engine, so the next thing to do is to put it over to top dead centre. This is a later engine, so the timing marks are on the top. Yes. The distributor cap, by the way, remember I told you probably a minute ago in this video, but half an hour ago in my workshop, that one of the leads was actually resting on the steering. Yeah, it was. Might find a better way to route those. Cap though is a Lucas original and serviceable. I'm not going to do much more with the distributor just yet, because it still points. Isn't a rusty in there, I'm going to assume. Nothing. But really the objective today was to see if we can't get this thing to turn over. It's got a mechanical oil pressure gauge, which is useful, because I'll be able to tell what the oil pressure is actually doing. Right, next, this is not going to be fun here, so I might have to get some heat into these. Sometimes these nuts come off beautifully and leave the studs in place, which is fantastic. I can live with that. Other times the studs have fused solid to the thermostat housing, which means you can't then get the thermostat housing off. I'm leaving this frame in place for the time being. There's no reason I need to take it out. It's all fairly straightforward at the moment. Took the drive belt off. Alternator seems okay. Water pump might be a bit on the tired side. It's very gritty. So I'm just about to take the water pump off. Or do I do that now, or do I need to do that now? I don't think I need to do that now, really. Let's carry on with just doing the checks on this engine and see if we can't get it cranking. Now, for the battery, I was planning on just putting a 12-volt battery in here. However, the leads won't reach a 12-volt battery sitting on the top here, so I'm going to have to use a couple of jump leads. So I've dropped the positive right down through the floor down there, because I don't want it to be earthing out. Might run the leads to a battery out here. I've charged one up. Never a dull moment, is there? Right, so water pump came off. These two fixings, by the way, they snapped off, partly because they must be 1.25 inches long. Not quite sure why you need bolts that sort of length to hold the pulley on. Anyway, that aside, there's kind of a tide mark in here where the coolant was sitting. I need to have a chat with the customer to find out what really happened, whether he drained the coolant down, if he remembers draining the coolant down. I can't see anything obvious as far as core plugs having popped, but there's no evidence as to, you know, whether there was any antifreeze in here. Couldn't tell you. Right, so at least now I can see inside the block. I probably could hose that all through. It's going to be a bit messy, but I can roll it outside, stick a hose in the thermostat hole, put the plugs back in, and give it a damn good hose, and most of the shit should really come out through the front, through the water pump hole. I might treat it into a new water pump though. This doesn't look that old, but when they've been sitting there that long, I don't know. We'll see. Those bolts will come out fairly easily. I'll get grip on those, and they'll soon wind out. Yeah. Right, let's get other hoses off while we're here, so I know, pardon me, what hoses I need to get hold of. It's got the heater control valve there, which I suspect is going to be seized up solid. That style rarely survives long periods of no use. I suspect it's going to be, I'll do it in a minute. I'll lube it up first and foremost. We'll see where we go to as far as it's operating. And then at some point we're going to need to work out what we're going to do about these master cylinders, whether the pedal box needs to come right out. And if it does need to come right out, how we do that on these. I should imagine it's up and underneath the dash. There's not a lot of complexity to these. I mean, we're not talking like modern cars, which are just a pain in the arse to work with. These things are a lot more straightforward. And find out why the ignition coil was put on upside down. Are they all like that? I'm not an MG man. I couldn't tell you. Not surprisingly, we've got some corrosion issues with the various metal pipes around on the cooling system. It's not unusual. We'll see where we are with it. Okay, I think I've got everything off this really that I wanted to get off this in order to allow me to spin the engine over, and I think all I'm really doing is delaying spinning the engine over. Now realistically I want the throttles to be open so that I can test compressions on this thing, but I suspect that's going to be a waste of time at this point. Now, have we got a solenoid? Starter solenoid on this. Where's the starter solenoid? I couldn't tell you. It's an interesting connector, isn't it? Must be for a regulator. Do these cars have regulators? It's got an alternator now. Well, it did have an alternator, but I took it off. Yeah, I couldn't tell you where the starter solenoid was unless it's pre-engaged. Where's the starter motor? Oh, nice bit of plastic down there. There are more rodentage. So it looks like the little bastards have dragged a bag of bread in, date bombed 13th of November. Doesn't give me a year. Best before 13th of November. But the little bastards got in there, didn't they? Oh yes. I'll let Chris have that back. Should we see if we can find the starter motor? There it is. So there's the starter motor. Yes, the solenoid is on the underside of the starter motor. So yes, it's a pre-engaged starter. It's not a huge issue. I think what we really need to do is we need to connect up the electrics and see what happens. I can't think of anything else. The engine cranks. I'm not going to take the distributor out yet. The distributor turns. Like I said, I really wanted to get the throttles, the carburetors off, so I can have the throttles wide open. But we can work our way around that. So what am I going to do with battery? Right, okay. I've dropped the positive lead right down through the bottom of the battery box there. And I'll probably run the negative lead over the top. So just a couple of jump leads to a battery out here I think is going to be the safest way of doing this. What I need to do next is find my battery. There they are over there. Jump leads. Oh, nice day today. We've got some heavy duty bastards up there. Look at those. We'll use those, I think. And there's a nice 12 volt battery out there. The system is running two 6 volt batteries in series. So as far as I'm aware, it's a 12 volt system. Because there was a negative on this side, a positive on that side, then there was a jump lead between the two batteries, which is down here. In fact, Chris has got some jump leads there on the back of his car. Nice bit of red garden hose there. It'll do the job though. Not worried about that. Right, let's see if we can't get some power into the loom and see what happens. Well, that's quite neat. The end of the fuel pump and the contacts to the end of the fuel pump are down here in the battery box. There we are. Blue circle, end of fuel pump. So I've just connected the live feed to it. And now we can connect the battery up, I think, and see what happens. Okay, before I connect up the battery, pulled the two fuses out. One of them is burnt. It's the top fuse that was burnt, the one that's battery live, and the other one has been replaced. Now what I wanted to do really was go over a bit of contact cleaner and toothbrush action, see if we can't get as clean a circuit as we possibly can. What I will do is I will disconnect the live feed from the ignition coil. I couldn't tell you which one's positive. I can tell you which one's positive. It's that one there, because that one is the one that comes from the white wire and the loom. There's all manner of dodgy crimps and so forth. You can see them down here. So we have got here it's a 35 amp fuse. I don't know what fuse rating they're supposed to be. That one can go back in there. Let's get some more fuses. What I might do is, if this pops a fuse instantly, I might use the power probe, because the power probe's got an overload built into it that allows me to basically test circuits without popping a fuse every 10 seconds. That's 35 amp. I'm going to go down in the rating. In fact, what we could do is we could double check the manual, couldn't we? Let's bring you over here. Fuses. So what I basically did, this is the wiring diagram for 67 to 70 with alternator with separate regulator, which we haven't got, which is what that spade over there is for. What are you looking at? That thing there, that bastard. So we've got the alternator with a built-in regulator. So I'm guessing that someone at some point has done a modification there. It's not a huge issue. What I really wanted to do was find out what these fuses are supposed to be. Go back to the beginning of the electrical system. Fuse block and fuses, 33. Unless they're listed in here. No, they're not going to put it anywhere sensible, are they? They're going to go to section 33, which is 14, 21, 31, 33 fuse blocks and fuses. 35. So they are 35 amp fuses. Okay. Let's balance you back up there again. I don't know if you're going to balance up there. Are you going to balance up there? You are. What are you looking at? I don't know. Good Lord. There we are. You're looking at the right sort of place. So let's put a 35 amp fuse in there. 35. These are blow rated fuses, folks. Right, now, having done that, let me get myself a reliable earth and just double check we have got a reliable earth. How am I going to do that? Yeah? We've got a reliable earth. Fantastic. I'll go through to the volts setting on my voltmeter. We'll come over here and we'll connect the battery up. That's encouraging. We haven't got a great big shower of sparks. Now, balance you here. There we go, you go there. Now, if I start by testing the voltage to the alternator, I'm getting 12.6 volts, that's good. And if we go to the two fuses, there's a fair amount of voltage drop. We're getting voltage across. Bottom fuse is ignition controlled. So you can't really see, can you? Tough. Because I need to actually do this job. So I've got this little chappy here. It's magnetic, look. So I screw it onto the camera and then plop the camera somewhere where I can see what on earth is going on. But for this, I think what we're going to do is we are going to see if we get ignition. No ignition. We've got no ignition. So, next, I'll be getting voltage now to the bottom fuse. Yes. We're getting nothing across that fuse though. So I think what we might have to do here is get the power probe on, because I'm testing on the other side. If we just literally just pop two fuses. So I'm now no longer getting voltage anywhere. So we've either got a rogue earth or we've got a rogue positive. Let's take the negative off. Positive is down there. Take the negative off here because it is as grubby as fuck. Bring the positive up to the front here. And I think I figured that we had quite a good earth point on the back of the pedal box. So having put that there, stand you here, get the other end of this. Again, check we've got continuity on earth. Nope. Right, now we've got an earth to there. So that can then go on the battery. So we know we've got an earth. Now are we getting 12 volts at the alternator. No. Because we've got something on the positive battery feed side. There'll be a terminal post somewhere which I'm going to need to find. So what I'm going to do is actually disconnect this battery in case we're causing a problem. Find the terminal post, because somewhere, I wonder if the terminal post is literally on the back of the battery down there. It's the back of the starter motor. I can double check that we're getting voltage to the back of the starter motor, but it's not that easy to basically access it all down there. Because then you see I've got all of these greens and God knows what else is coming up here. But what I really want is to find, and I love all this shit, what I really want is to find any of the brown wires for now, because those brown wires will be the ones that the voltage should be coming directly from the battery terminal back to here, in theory. So there's something gone high resistance on me. Right, we're up in the air. Oh my goodness. And we're on a stand, and we're going to go underneath here to this fucking great big chop block here, and also a loose cable from the battery. None of this is really going to help, is it? Really, that is not going to help. So I don't know what's going on there, but it'll work for the time being. I think really what I want to do is tighten this nut up here on the back of the starter motor. The reason it wasn't doing up is because the post is fucking stripped. How do you strip a post on a starter motor? And also the terminal for the starter solenoid has just fallen off, like they do. Nasty crimped terminal. So right, how can we do this? I really want to get power into this circuit, but I mean, look at the fucking state of it. What we might do is pull this lot topside and see if we can't do a better job than this, and then we're going to work out how on earth we're going to get that nut on there, because there is no thread. Can you see? I don't know if you can see or not. There's no thread on the post. I was rather hoping to get this thing cranked over and confirm we had oil pressure today. As you can see, we got some challenges, unsurprisingly. Right, let's bring you out. Oh my goodness. Battery's disconnected. Let's go back top side. See if we can't pull this loom up. It's all down here and tangled up. That's that bit of loom there that I want, I think. It is. Come on, all the way. Right. So now we got that up here, we probably can do something with it. Nice. Right, such was the disaster that was the wiring, and you can see there already that one has started to melt, and also the insulation had broken. Such was the disaster. I've created a terminal post which can go up here somewhere and allow us to basically isolate the main brown battery feed, and then I've extended the white and red wire down to the back of the starter motor. So on the back of the starter motor now we have two cables. One comes down from the battery, big one. Little one goes up to the terminal block. Okay, and then I've been able to get enough thread on there that that nut now does up. It's not perfect, it will do the job. Right, so that can go down now. Stand comes out. Jack goes down. Thank you. Right, let's get up again. 12.78 volts. 12.78 volts. That one. That one. 12.78. 12.78. So we're getting voltage through. Next, let's go and see what happens when I turn the ignition on. bearing in mind I have disconnected the fuel pump. So, ignition. Oh, I know what that'll be. That'll be the fan. Right, earth is off on the fan. Blower unit on the front there. Now, fuck me. Chris, your car's waking up. Hello. It's a promising little... Right, shall we see? Fuck me, the other one works as well. Does the horn work? No. Right, see if the starter motor works. We are in... Oh my God. We're in no gear. Right. I suspect the starter motor is causing some difficulty here. Where's the lights on this? Is that one? Couldn't tell you. Hey, wipers are working. Wipers work. What about the lights? I don't know which one's the lights. Where's the lights on this? That one? That's overdrive. I honestly don't know where the lights are on. Oh, that one? That one. Oh, got a light in there. Got headlights. Not the brightest. So I think, really, we're going to need to find out what's going on with the starter motor. I'll need to get underneath, I think, and get... Just check that was on. Yeah, don't want to do anything at all, does it? Right. It's a step in the right direction.